Back YouTube to my channel. Today I'm doing a special video. Something I always wanted to do just to help you guys out, because that is my goal of this channel, is to do how-to videos of important things that I think will really help you. And today we got a special video, and it's how to buy a car on a budget. And this budget in particular is $1,500. It's something anybody can save up for. A month of working, month and a half of working, you can save up $1,500. How to buy the car, where to look, things to look for, If there's any questions you have, feel free to shoot them in the comments. But this is where we're gonna start. All right, so the first thing you need to do when looking for a car is you need to get the money, right? You need to have the $1,500. There's no point of looking online, and I know you want to look and you want to find a car that you like, but there's no point until you have the money. The sites I recommend are Craigslist, Auto Trader, Car Gurus. There's a couple other sites out there, but my main is Craigslist, because a lot of them is for sale by owner, and that's what you're looking for, is private treaty sales. Because these car dealerships, they're gonna screw you over. That's all they're about. They either make you get out these loans, charge insanely high interest rates. They're just not worth it. Private treaty is the way to go when you're 16, 17 years old, looking for your first car. You're going to college, you need something to get from point A to point B. That's all we're getting in this video. We're not looking at Mustang GTs. We're not looking at 2020 Toyota Supras. We're looking at a car that gets you from point A to point B on a budget, but that runs. We don't want a beater that's going to break down in a month. We want to find something that runs, and it's possible. You just have to be patient. So the first thing you do is you have the $1,500. Step 2, it is now time to start looking. Go on Craigslist, look up cars and trucks for sale by owner. That's what I do. Just scroll down, turn the filter down to the lowest price cars first, and just scroll. Just look. And if your budget maybe is a little higher, $2,000, you can find a little more. But I try to, when I was looking for my first car, my budget was $1,500. I had more, but that's all I wanted to spend. And it took me about a week of looking, not too long. And I don't live in, if you live in a smaller city, this may be harder. But I live in San Antonio, Texas, so there is like a decent population. So there is kind of a lot of ads on there. And I found a 2002 Mitsubishi Evo. I'll show you in just a minute. It's in great shape. All it did have the engine light on, but it was just the catalytic converter, and then it needed new struts. So maybe like $300 in total I have to put into it. I do know a little bit of mechanics. You could always go to your local mechanic shop and just get estimates on prices like this. But it shouldn't be very expensive for things like that. Maybe a new battery, but the battery's already good in it. But the main thing is we don't want engine and transmission problems, because those would get very expensive very quick, especially internal engine and like transmission. Step 3 is getting the information from that seller and calling them. Do not text, do not send an email. I mean, sometimes they only have their emails, but if they have their phone number, and they'll sometimes have it in the little description below or in the reply button at the top, open that up and call them. Be like, hello, my name is so-and-so, I'm interested in your car. Do not sound like, oh my god, I want to buy your car so bad, because you're not going to get it for a good deal when it comes down to negotiation, because the seller already knows you're emotionally involved at that point. So be very calm and just be like, I'm interested in the car you have for sale. Is it still for sale? Can we set up a time for me to come look at it? You always meet up in a public place during the day. Always. You don't know these people. They don't know you, so just, if they ask where you want to meet, Walmart parking lot, HEB parking lot, convenience store parking lot, somewhere between y'all's two locations. And then you make a checklist. So I make a checklist of everything right here. So I'm gonna put the year of the car, the make, the model, the asking price, the trade-in value. So you can go to, there's 2 sites I recommend to find in the trade-in value: Kelley Blue Book and NADA. You can look up the make, the model, everything, and then it gives you, look up the trade-in value, because your goal is to get the price as close to as the trade-in value as possible. That's your goal to buy the car for. Then I just have like body, wheels, tires, interior, under the car. And then I just write, like, if there's scratches on the body, I'll write scratches where the scratches are. If the wheels are a little scratched up, I write the wheels. If there's stains on the interior, I write where the stains are, where they're at. Make sure the air conditioner works. Make sure the lights work. Check the engine. Make sure there's no leaks. Look under the car. Make sure there's no leaks. Check the trunk. Check everywhere. The back seats, the front seats, the headliner, the glove box. Make sure all the buttons, the power windows, everything works. Because if something doesn't work, like so on my car for instance, the knob on the air conditioner is broken, and I'm able to use that as leverage for myself when I'm negotiating this deal for the car. I'd be like, well, I'm gonna have to go find somebody that does interior work. This is what I would tell the seller, to fix this knob, and it could cost anywhere from $100. So it'd be like, you know, if you're asking $2,000 for this car, $3,000 for this car, you gotta at least come down $100. That's what I'm thinking in here, right? Like it's, you know, because there's things wrong with it. The car's scratched up. You can tell them that. So it's just things like that. I do a run-through with that. I ask them a few questions. So there's 7 questions I ask them, and these are the 7 questions. So I ask them, how long have they owned the car? Why are they selling the car? Does everything work, and does it have any problems? If there's any service records of any kind, oil changes, you want to see all those. You want to see maintenance done to the vehicle. What did they use the car for? If it's a truck and they did maybe like a lot of ranch work or off-roading, that could be not good, because it could have suspension issues, and suspension is very expensive. So we need to know what the car is being used for. Was it highway? Was it a lot of inner city driving? You know, was it maybe like an old taxi vehicle or something? So it had a lot of stop and go, and that's kind of harder on a motor. How many miles did they have it when they bought the car? How long they own the car, and what are they looking to do now? So did they buy a new car, and this is just an extra car they have? Maybe was it from like a relative or something, and they just don't need the car anymore? And those 7 questions will tell you a lot about the owner and about the car. So those are very important. So other than that, then it just gets to negotiation. Like it's just I have a big old checklist that I do every time before I go and look at a car or truck. But the next thing is negotiation. So this is when it gets tough. So I always go into negotiation. I'll do a test drive first. So I do the rundown. I do a test drive. Make sure I accelerate the car, brake the car, turn the car all the way, make sure everything's right. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is negotiate. So I get out, and so like my car, it's a Mitsubishi Lancer. It's a 2002. The guy was asking like $2,500, I think. The car's trade-in value is worth like $1,000. So my goal is to get as close to $1,000 as possible. And sometimes I got kind of lucky on this car. This is not going to be every case. And it took me about a week to find it of looking. You have to use those things that you found wrong with it. Maybe it's high mileage, maybe scratches, maybe it's stains on the interior. Maybe it's leaking some kind of fluids. That could actually be kind of bad. But find something to use as leverage when you're negotiating, to be like, look, man, I know you're asking $2,500, but this is where my price range is at. And then throw a low ball price range. I threw out, my first price was $1,000. That's what I threw out there. And it sounds extremely low. You're like, how could somebody be asking $3,000, right, for a car, and then you throw out $1,000? And it's just what you do. You know they're not gonna buy it. I mean, they could, but most of the time they're not. And then you just talk to them. They're like, no, like the lowest I can go is $2,300, right, or like $2,500, right? They're asking, so they knock off $500. And you'd be like, well, what about, you know, it has this problem. It's gonna cost me this much. I see that there's this. It's going to cost me this to fix, to get it to maintenance, get it to run well. And you just kind of almost like manipulate them, in not like in a bad way, but make them understand that you have to do certain things to the car to get it to a fully functioning system again. And so when you do this, when you just talk and maybe tell them a little bit about yourself, be like, you know, I'm a young kid, I'm a young college kid if you're with your parents. I feel like it's always better for the person who's buying the car to do the negotiation, because they're the most genuine when you're talking to them. So like the guy I bought the car from, I got kind of lucky because he was moving the next week, so he was kind of in a rush to sell it. But I told him, I was like, man, I'm a college kid, I don't have a lot of money, this is what I can pay, and this is where I'm at. And so when I didn't buy the car the first day actually. I went and I told him the most I could do was like, I think I actually went up to $1,500. But my dad works on cars, and he ended up telling me that I should pay $1,200. He's like, it's a little bit pricey. He's like, because there's some things, because my dad's a wheeler and dealer too. He knows how to negotiate. And so I texted the guy back, and I ended up buying the car for $1,200, which was a steal outright. It was a great deal. I had to put about $350, and then after tax, title, and license, so maybe total like $1,700 put into this. It's like a month's worth of work for me at my job. And I got a nice car. It doesn't have a whole lot of miles, 160,000. It's a lot, but not a lot. And those Mitsubishis run to 300,000 miles sometimes, if you take care of them. And it was really well maintained, has a really great interior. But it's just things like that you have to learn. You have to learn how to communicate. And if you feel scared, go to your local mechanic shop and ask the mechanic to come with you to look at the car. Pay him $50, and I'm sure he wouldn't even mind. Or have a friend of a friend's dad, somebody that you know that knows a little bit about cars, or that's comfortable to talking with people to help you through this process. So that's it, guys. That's kind of the basics of buying a used car. That's the information I got. Again, those two websites that you really want to keep track of, NADA and Kelley Blue Book, because that will tell you the value of where to price the car. Always check Craigslist. So when you do get the money saved up, check Craigslist every day. Check Auto Trader. Check Car Groups. Every day, just check them. Before you go to bed, just run through them. Because you want to get that car as soon as it's posted, and you want to be the first person on it to get the best deal possible. Make your checklist. Go to the car. Check everything. Check everything out. Check the air filter. If the air filter's dirty and the oil's all mucky looking and nothing's been changed, don't buy the car. You don't want to buy a piece of junk. You can always wait until another car pops up and look at it. You have to be patient. But that's all I got for you. If there's anything I missed, any questions you have, feel free to comment. But now I want to go show you my car, show you everything about it, and then I appreciate you guys for watching. So now let's go look at my car. There is my $1,200 car, and it's not bad. Yeah, it's an ugly color. It's bright yellow, but it's a very, very nice car, I think, especially for the price. Let's go ahead and let's look inside. We'll do a full run through. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood, just show you some quick things. I'm gonna throw that lollipop out. Some quick things to look for. So there's the trunk, there's the hood. As you can see, it's very clean in here. I haven't even cleaned it. It was just clean already. A little dirty on the outside because the birds pooped on it, but it's okay. Exterior inspection first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open everything. I opened the trunk. I opened the hood. Open the doors. Look on the door panels. Look in the seats. As you can tell, it is super clean in here, like I said. I don't even think anybody even sat in these back seats because it was a single man. So, super clean back there. Look in here is the same. Very clean. Like I said, one of the things that was wrong with my car is this knob. So they had a problem with this model of these babies breaking. So you have to like go underneath the dash, turn it manually. Other than that, oh, she's very clean, very clean. A few little spots here on the headliner. But that was something I talked to him about. I was like, look, so can't really see it, but the stain's here. And I told him, and I brought those up to him. And they just gave me more leverage. The whole time you need to find whatever you can to leverage the car. The motor is kind of pulled apart right now because I'm actually doing some work to it. There's usually a cover right here and like more wires and stuff. But for the most part, so what you want to do is you want to check when this is not hot. You want to make sure the motor is not hot. It's cooled off. You check in here. You make sure there's liquid in here. It should be a greenish color, not brown, not black. You check in here. And you should look underneath the cap. If it's really like foggy, musky looking, it's not a good sign. You look in the motor. You can't see in the camera, but you could in real life. You look at power steering fluid. It's full to the max. You look at wiper fluid. You just look at all the fluids to make sure that they took care of the vehicle. You check the air filter. This one's like super white. I've looked at it before. You can see it in there. Like, it's not dirty at all. The brake fluid right here. The transmission fluid, you check that. That's down there. And you just check everything. The few things that are wrong with this that I did, you know, I hooked it up to an OBD2 scanner, which is anything newer than a 94 has a plug underneath the dash, and you can hook a computer to it, like at your local O'Reilly's AutoZone, and it will actually tell you what's wrong with the car. So this car had to check engine light on it. I figured out what was wrong with it through that OBD2 scanner, and it turns out that it was this thing right here. This is our catalytic converter, and it's on the front of this vehicle. So I went ahead, and it was the most expensive part I had to buy for this thing. I bought this, and then I bought a new one of these. This is a O2 sensor. Super easy to change. You just like pull off that cover that I had there. It's like 8 bolts, 2 bolts at the bottom, pull it right out, put the new one on. It's like super simple. And then it needs struts. That's a little more difficult, but it's not impossible. We checked the interior already. We noticed that it is in good condition. Next, you would check the trunk. Look under here, make sure there is a spare tire, which we got, and the jack. Make sure you get wheel locks if there is wheel locks. I made that mistake. This car actually has 2 wheel locks on it. It has one right here and right here, so I had to make sure I got both of those. Luckily they're in the car. Check the tires. Tires are expensive. Get a penny, and if it's below Abe Lincoln's head right here, then the tires, it's gonna need new tires. But if it is above Abe Lincoln's head, you're good. Or they have like little wear strips in the tires, and if they're wear down, you can't really see. There's like little bumps in here, and if they're wore past those, it's gonna need new tires. So look at that. You know, you're buying a used car, you're trying to save as much money as you can. The ultimate deal is to get the best price. So there is some exterior things wrong with this thing because it sat in the sun. The guy lived in Arizona when he was going to college, so as you can see, some of this rubber's cracked, but there is metal under, or plastic, like metal stuff, chrome pieces underneath. So it's not a big deal. It's an older car. The car is 17 years old. The paint is a little bit faded in certain areas. It is peeling in certain areas. But for the price, for a car that gets you from point A to point B, you can't beat this. And it's kind of a cool looking car, you know, to be honest. It's automatic. It has 165,000 miles. It runs, it drives, it was taken care of. And these cars are all over. You just have to be patient and you have to look.